Sure, it's fine. Okay.
Hello. Thank you. My name is Tony Casado. I'm the editor of the San Antonio Business Journal. I'm joined by managing editor Ed Arnold and technology reporter Kristen Mossbrucker. And this is our first Facebook Live post that we've done as a newsroom. It's not something we do very often, but we have something special to share that demanded that we do this. We today have published online, and it will be in our Friday's issue this week, a special project that we're calling the Amazon Effect. It's a project that involves all of the business journals that we are a family of. That includes 43 business journals, and it will take a deep look at how Amazon has parlayed economic incentives throughout the country, as well as its lobbying efforts and other things that it has done to become the powerful company that it is today, having started over 20 years ago as an online bookstore. So what we learned through this process, which involved, as I said, over 40 newsrooms filing several Freedom of Information requests or state open records requests. Kristen was part of that effort here in San Antonio to compile all this data, and was aggregated. We came up with a very large number, $1.25 billion, approaching $1.25 billion in economic incentives that Amazon has received from various local and state governments in order to expand its footprint throughout the world. So I'm going to talk to Kristen in a little bit about how Amazon is affecting San Antonio specifically, but before I do, I want to talk to Ed. Ed, as managing editor, Ed was instrumental in kind of overseeing our participation in this nationwide project. So Ed, if you could, before I ask you some of the key takeaways, if you can just talk about the process that we went through to do this project.
Sure, absolutely. We were tasked, along with all those other business journal markets, as you said, of looking at where all of the Amazon centers were, whether they be fulfillment centers or distribution hubs that they've got, looking into what sort of incentives that they got, how many jobs that were created, how many square feet that they occupied. Kristen did an excellent job of doing that with us. And so we sent our portion, for include the shirts location, and then a few smaller hubs inside San Antonio proper that basically handle all of the distribution for the greater San Antonio area. What we found was, although they certainly got subsidies and they certainly got jobs for it, it did not have the sort of outsized impact that some of our other markets did in the actual distribution and warehousing effect. San Antonio had more than enough warehouse space to accommodate what they were looking for, and although they certainly did get incentives, the incentives were not as impactful, perhaps, as some of the other incentive packages that we've written about locally. But at the end of the day, they're still being subsidized by the taxpayers for these very large expansions. And Texas in particular, when you look at it statewide, I think, and I believe, I hope you all hold me to it if I'm off, but I believe Texas came in at number 5 of the states that have given the most to Amazon in incentives overall. All of them. And that's obviously had some sort of impact, because our senators this morning put out an open letter to the CEO of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, basically trying to also encourage him to move his second headquarters here. So while San Antonio itself hadn't had as outside an influence on those incentives as other cities in the state, we definitely played a part in it.
Yeah, and you did mention that second headquarters. Amazon is basically having a nationwide casting call for a place to put another headquarters that they say will be equal to the one they have in Seattle. They're calling it HQ2, and it just so happens that their request for proposals that they put out on a website specifically for this search was released, was it late September? And it just happened that we, as a company, had already been working on this project for months at that point, but the deadline for that is just a few days from now, October 19th, so it's kind of, sometimes it's as good to be lucky as it is good. I think in this case we're both. Ed, before I go to Kristen, if you could tell the readers a little bit about what they're going to find, how they can find this package, and what are some of the features that hopefully will make it a very informative and interactive experience for readers online.
Sure, absolutely. So we've got a large nationwide interactive map where readers can look and see where all of those distribution centers are, what their employment impact was, and what kind of incentives that they got. That's just one of 4 stories that's running in the weekly edition this week, including Kristen's obviously locally focused one. The first one is a lot about the headquarters and about gathering up how much these incentives mean nationwide. So one of the stats that I really liked was that Amazon's got at least 257 sorting and distribution centers and are taking up 141 million square feet of warehouse space, and with hundreds of thousands of workers. Another story that we've got, which Casey Coombs at our sister paper in Seattle, the Puget Sound Business Journal, is writing about the sort of pitches and incentives that they've not only got, but what they're looking for with the new headquarters that you mentioned there. San Antonio may be a long shot for that, but certainly we've heard from local economic development leaders that they're certainly going to make their best pitch for that. So there's a lot to be gleaned there about what it would take to get that headquarters, as well as whether or not maybe San Antonio has a shot at it. And then the other one that I'm quite fascinated with was Carolyn Proctor of the DC Business Journal has written a lot here about what Bezos has done to increase the lobbying efforts for Amazon. So now Amazon...
It's pretty dramatic from what I understand.
It's massive. It is absolutely massive. From 2011 to 2016, a 411% increase in the cost and the money that they're putting into lobbying. The latest figure shows that they're spending $11.3 million on lobbying efforts in 2016. And if you take that just back to 2012, when they were spending $2.5 million. Okay. Again, those lobbying efforts
they cracked the top 20 of corporations on lobbying.
That's right. They cracked the top 20 for the first time ever, and it's the top 20 again year to date so far this year. According to Carolyn's reporting, the only other major tech brand to do that was Alphabet, the parent company of Google. So they're obviously throwing a lot of money around.
Yeah. And then this of course is premium content, so it's for our subscribers. But there's a special feature on a special landing page. Why don't you could tell the reader?
Sure. There's a special landing page, particularly for our subscribers, where you can read every story from all of the more than 40 business journals. Has all of their coverage.
Regardless of whether you subscribe to any.
Regardless of whether you're subscribed to any of them or not, you can see those stories there. And our national story that Craig Douglas wrote is unlocked and available for non-subscribers. However,
that's a free story.
That's right. That's a free story. However, the other ones that I just mentioned about the lobbying efforts and the headquarters too, and of course Kristen's story, those are for subscribers.
Okay. So Kristen, let's talk about you. So you had helped us with this project, with respect to facilities and so forth. But when we looked at San Antonio, it wasn't really a facilities question. It was an impact on a very major player. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, so when you think about Amazon's impact on the San Antonio economy, something that really stuck out to us is that Rackspace Hosting Inc., which is headquartered here in San Antonio, they built the public cloud years before Amazon, but like many other businesses, their business was disrupted by the West Coast tech giant, and I sort of explore in the story about how they really made lemonade from lemons in a lot of ways, and now they're partnering with Amazon.
So Amazon, we think of it as, like I said, it started as an online bookstore and an online retailer, video streaming, but it has a company called Amazon Web Services, or AWS, and that's what you've been really looking into. What does Amazon Web Services do, and that disrupted Rackspace?
Mm-hmm. So Amazon Web Services is the cloud hosting arm of the larger company, and so when you're building a website or a business wants to build a mobile application, they sort of are drawing the computing power from the cloud, and so Amazon built its own cloud that it sells a little piece of server time to businesses, and they were able to do it the cheapest than anyone else because of their size.
Right. So, Rackspace did what to kind of pivot and react to this new competition?
Yeah, so essentially they were both trying to sell this public cloud to businesses, and because Amazon could do it much more cheaply because they had the economy of scale, Rackspace decided, well, we have all of these people who are very skilled in kind of migrating businesses to the cloud and kind of helping them understand how to leverage the scalability. And so they're really leveraging their people, and so you can buy Amazon as an infrastructure or the building blocks for your website or web portal, and then also hire the Rackspace's fanatical support along with some more technical tooling as well to really
make it fit. It's kind of like buying a suit off the rack and then taking it to a tailor to make it fit you.
Right.
Sort of like that. And so Rackspace is the tailor. Okay, and now how is that working out for Rackspace?
Well, it's actually this sort of managed cloud services is Rackspace's fastest growing business line. While it's still not the largest part of its revenue stream, it's certainly a big part of the company's future and something that they've really been investing in to leverage as a company.
Right. So again, we're really proud of this as an individual. The San Antonio Business Journal, we're proud of it as being part of the business journals, and we hope you enjoyed Facebook Live today with us, and that you'll check out what we have at sanantoniobusinessjournal.com.